What the hell is this? I really don't understand it.
What the hell is wrong with y'all? You ain't that damn good. Stop acting like it.
Some ineffectual, privileged, effete, soft penis debutante.
Stop right there. Stop.
We think it amazing.
Alrighty, and welcome to a solo episode of the SuperCoach Guns podcast. As always, I'm Nathan from SuperCoach Guns. I mean, you know who I am by now. Usually, I have trusty sidekick old Pat with me, but he's gone MIA for the holiday time. So, yeah, for those who tuned in last time, you would have noticed that I had a guest on. But you know, for my recording convenience, and since it's always all about me. Uh, I chose to record by myself, so you get to hear my voice non-stop. Apologies if that disgusts you. You can just, I don't know, probably turn off. But I think I like to think that I can fill the space pretty well and still get you all the key points and do it by myself and in a relatively listenable fashion. But the view count will tell. Let's look back at the round that was. Obviously, it's a bit hard recording Big Bash podcasts and timing it because we're cutting a game off yet again. The Hobart Hurricanes Adelaide Strikers game hasn't happened yet. In fact, at the time of recording, Australia just won the Border Gavaskar Trophy, which was great. You know, probably possibly a bit overhyped. India were a bit overhyped, but that's not the point of this one. The point of this podcast is to talk about the Big Bash. So let's look at the first game. We had Perth and the Sydney Thunder. They were playing at Perth. We were meant to have the Sixers in the Heat, but that got washed out because it was played at Coffs Harbour. And as always, it rains whenever they decide to play anything meaningful there. So we go Optus Stadium, 9:15 at night for those living on Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and we had a cracking game. Finn Allen showed up in quite some fashion. 113 SuperCoach points with 68 runs off the bat. I think he was off 30 balls or thereabouts. If you're looking to get him, I think it's next week. Well, next round or never. He's going to be around 115,000. Big negative break even. Pretty happy just to loop him in, but if you're willing to let him go, then let him go. But I think I've got a bit of FOMO. He's screaming exhales to me. I think there's a bigger score coming. So I'm not sure I want to skip Finn Allen, to be honest. Now we look here, other key contributors in this game. Chris Green, I mean, he bowled really well. Optus suited him. It was a bit slower, Optus Stadium, which I found interesting. Good economy rate, 3 wickets, not much more. That what's the right wording of this? Couldn't ask for much more. That's the right wording. There we go. Another one that I'm interested in for the double, actually, Chris Green. I mean, just goes it. He always finds a way to get some relatively good scores. I mean, obviously, there's the odd game here and there where he does go low, but that doesn't seem to be well, for me at least, it's not a problem in my eyes. Like, he had a 0, I understand that. Um, but he has also gone 106, 32, 61, and then 113. So outside of that one bad game, he has had quite a good season. And I'm willing to probably take a chance considering he's batting at 7. And as well, probably going to be early to mid 140s. So he's definitely in my considerations. Again, for the Thunder, Sherfane Rutherford. He finally arrived. He had a dud tournament. In fact, he had averaged 6 points per game. But that's all changed. He's come out, he's won the Thunder a game off his own bat, 75 points. You'll be looking at paying around $80,000 for him next round. If you're interested, I am. I am interested. We talked about him. You can't keep players like this down for long. He was in the ICC ODI Team of the Year, I believe. There's a lot about his form. He's in very good form. He just missed out in a couple of games. You don't keep players like this down forever. Um, Only downside to Sherfane Rutherford is he's batting at 6. It's not ideal. I understand that. Uh, Now, of course, it that could be completely different again with how they replace Cameron Bancroft and Daniel Sams, uh, which was a shocking incident in this game, which I haven't even mentioned. It looked as though Cameron Bancroft dived head first into Daniel Sams's head. Uh, so Cameron Bancroft, the ramifications out of that is Cameron Bancroft's out for the Big Bash and possibly more, and Daniel Sams is probably out for the vast majority, if not all, of the regular season. So Bancroft fractured shoulder, fractured nose, and a concussion. Sam's just a concussion, but a pretty heavy one by the looks of things. I obviously neither are selections, and I don't know how they do their lineup will look. I can only assume that a guy like Tom Andrews probably holds his spot, and maybe you know if he really and he's someone that I'm quite interested in myself because he bowled quite well, 1 for 26 off 37 points. He'll be high 60s, early 70s in price. Uh, I'm pretty comfortable paying that. Doesn't look like he's going to hurt you if you don't own, but also looks like he'll be a solid scorer on the double, get you to 70, 80, maybe a 90. Uh, and where he's playing, let me just confirm the grounds that we're playing at here in this one. We've got the Gabba, and they're playing at home. So obviously at home, NG Stadium, Showground Stadium, your choice of name for the Thunder's home ground. Uh, it's a spin-friendly wicket. Not Optus saying the Gabba is a pace wicket. So depending on their lineup, probably not the key guy there. But it's all about the value, right? And you're paying 70K, might be worth a shot. Uh, David Warner is almost a lock in for me. He's priced at 133,000 this round, had a -5 break even, scored 75. Let's see, what's three quarters of 80? Oh, no, a quarter of 80, it's 20K, so $150,000 roughly he will be. Um, I would dare say he'll be the most traded in play next round, and rightfully so. Uh, Finally, I will. Won't go through the rest of the Thunder until we get to the preview section. Now, this Scorchers lineup's going to look different because we have the incoming Mitch Marsh, and that's going to make things quite interesting because he will bat in the top 3, maybe top 4, maybe that's the right word. But Cooper Connell is the leading run scorer in the Big Bash, right? Why do I get the sick feeling he'll be batting 5 or 6? Okay, and this is why I get the sick feeling. Um, Unless they've miraculously decided just to chuck Hurst at 6 or something, which just quietly they probably should do. Uh, and you open up with Connolly and Finn Allen, yin and yang. You know, Connolly to bat long, Finn Allen just to go from ball one. Uh, then you've got big hitting, powerful Western Australian all rounders in Aaron Hardy and Mitch Marsh. You put all that together, that looks pretty good. And then when Mitch Marsh comes back in, there is the discussion of another bowler enters the ranks, and you've got Aaron Hardy coming back soon, and all of a sudden, Cooper Connolly, his role could be very questionable. He could be batting 5 and not bowling. He could be opening and bowling 2 or 3 overs with Ashton Agar out. But the thing with Connolly is that if Ashton Agar's out, he's probably okay. He'll probably be the lead spinner even. Uh, However, if Agar's playing, not a great role. So keep Connolly's a borderline sell next round, which is depressing because he's a gun and he had another good game here and took a wicket and scored some runs. But it's just the reality. I mean, the role's so questionable that it's hard to justify. Now, Derendorf had his first quiet game of the season. Not really sure what to make of that. He's the stalwart, but he's probably due a rest as well. Um, it's tough. I think they'll probably keep playing him. Uh, they're in a position where they need to. They're not way out in front like they have been in past seasons. So I think they just got to keep playing him. But yeah, they've got some problems there. Uh, good problems, I suppose, but problems nonetheless. Now Melbourne Derby last night again, another nail biter. And who did the job? Who else? But Glenn Maxwell and Hilton Cartwright, or yin and yang, not yin and yang, I'm using that phrase too much, but two of the Stars' key fielders and their key middle order bats, who are batting 6 and 7. One of the great crimes of humanity that Glenn Maxwell bats six in a T20 side, uh, yet alone a domestic T20 side in Australia. He should be top three, uh, particularly when you have Tom the Plotter Rogers, the batter, who has now dropped, I believe, to $39,500. But we'll confirm that. He scored one in a season average of 6.7. He has yep, he's dropped to one. He's dropped to $39,500. Oh my goodness. Okay. So Tom Rogers is a dud. Is an absolute dud. Uh, I think he'll be dropped. I think it's time to move Maxwell up the order. Uh, they're gonna play Sam Harper for whatever reason, but they're playing him. He's doing well, kind of, with the gloves. He's doing well with the glove. He's not doing well with the bat. They're four lean scores in a row. The thing is, though, the last score he just had run out for one. Not really his fault. I mean, he got run out, but that's not due to his technique or form. That's just unfortunate. That's really the only way to describe it. But he's just sitting on my bench as my wicket keeper. I think you leave him there. I'm not saying he's a starting keeper, no. Although he has been for 5 rounds of this 4 rounds of this season for me, and I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay with it. Um, which does say a lot about the keeper position. But now it's time to look bigger and better. There's guys like McDermott who we're going to get to in a little bit. Philippi, who's averaging 60, and there might be for example, what's his name? Uh, Come on, I've forgotten his name. No, it's left me. Oh well. There's a few keepers. Tim Seifert, that's what it was in this exact game. Now his price has dropped a fair bit. He's had a 27 in this one, off the back of a 23 on the double. He's out now averaging below 40 at a 140 break even, and scored 27, which I believe leaves us with a 113 difference. Now, if you multiply that by 246, you get the estimated price change. So let's say in this case, Tim Seifert has a 140 break even. He scores 27, right? You do 140 minus 27. And what's the answer to that? No, hang on. You do 27 minus 140, sorry. 27 minus 140. And your answer to that is negative 113. Okay. You multiply that number by 246, you'll get your price change formula. And so he's projected to change by 27,000, lose the value of $27,800. Okay. Which is going to put him at, let me just do some maths here. There's one more five in there. Minus, let's say, 27,800, I believe. 127. That's a bargain. That's a bargain for Tim Seifert, someone who lit up the first double. He had said 3 good games, 3 bad games. But we've seen the pedigree of Tim Seifert. He can score runs quickly and big. And so he's one to keep in the back of the mind. The break even will still be pretty big. There's still money to leak. I reckon he'll bottom out in the early hundreds, and I will be picking him up for sure. Now, let's address the top scorer of the night. Uh, bit of discourse on social media. This is possibly the worst ton we've seen Uh, Jacob Bethel, scraped together 49 off 39. Yeah, it was a difficult pitch. Sure. It wasn't a good innings regardless. He got dropped on 17 or 16. It was scrappy. It wasn't great. He struck at 130. You know, he got 59 points at the bat. Um, he took two catches that were hit straight to him. And then the run out, two batters were caught in the middle, and he got credited with the throw. But it's 111 points. Super coaches won't be complaining about how they get the points as long as they get them. And they did. So Jacob Bethel's 111 points. It's a good role. He's just not playing brilliantly. He will go up a fair bit, but probably what's that going to be? Roughly 111, 37. Uh, I'm thinking probably around 74, three quarters, a quarter of 74, yeah, just under 20K, right? So you're looking at a reasonably good increase for him. He'll be around 120K if I've just said my maths right. Yes, I have. So not bad for him. Gurinder Sandhu, he's back from the dead at the Renegades. First game of BBL 14, scores 79 points. Pretty good going for him. Um, yeah, I find that very odd. Find it very odd that he's back in their lineup for Fergus. Like he had a couple of down games, Fergus, but he's a pretty good cricketer, up and coming. But gee, Sandhu's got the spot for a little while. He bowled pretty well. Admittedly, in a cricketing sense, not a couple overs there late in the piece where he didn't really clutch up. But then again, neither did Tom Rogers, neither did Will Sutherland. No one really bowled well from the Renegades, and that's why they lost, to be honest. As evidenced by Will Sutherland's 16, which I think almost all came from the bat. Um, oh, yeah, almost all. He scored nine with the bat and seven with the ball. So pretty 50-50 split, actually. So well done, Nathan. And then Adam Zampa with a 4 points. That's all he scored. Yeah. So that's great. Jake Fraser McGurk continues his lean run. In fact, he's 87,700 with a 65 break even. So we do the maths. 12 minus 65, we get 53. Multiply that by 246, he loses $13,000 of value, right? Add that to his price of 87,700. He will be $74,700 next round. That's buy territory for me. I buy on value and pedigree when it comes to fallen guns. You buy on the value and the pedigree, right? You can't keep a gun like him down for long. He will have an innings this big bash. He won't be quiet forever. Same goes to Sherfane Rutherford. I said the same thing about Finn Allen. The same theories ring true time and time again. Even the worst of international exports, like Andre Fletcher and David Miller, they had their innings where they bottomed out in value, right? Fraser McGurk will have his innings. It's nearly buy territory for me at 74,000. Yeah, sign me up. Anything else in this one? I don't believe there is. Maxwell, shocking roll, 65 points, thank goodness. Sell him next round without much cash lost. Marcus Stoinis is a good roll. Ben Duckett, if he makes it past the first ball, will do well. Otherwise, yeah, that's the review done. Let's do the preview now. And the preview starts by looking at the Sydney Thunder, who we spoke about at length in their game, but I do want to go through their full, vast majority of their team, their lineup. We'll start out at the top. We spoke about David Warner. Um, just getting it all sorted here. We spoke about David Warner. Um, Obviously, back-to-back good day games. He's a gun bat. He's got a lot of pedigree behind him as being one of Australia's great batsmen of all time. I don't think that's outrageous to say for someone who, you know, he's a gun limited overs player, gun test match player. It's just that he's not a likable character, but his record does show he's one of Australia's greatest batsmen ever. Um, Yeah, I'm all over him. He's got, as I said, pedigree. He's got form, back-to-back scores, and I don't see a reason not to have a go at him at around 150-ish K. I think it's justifiable. He'll do well. I imagine in at least one of these games, this double. So I'm willing to invest, have a go, and yeah, see where it lands us. Because he's a good bat, and he's got a lot of upside to him, and I think there's a ton for David Warner at some point this Big Bash. Uh, Lockie Ferguson had a couple of down weeks, gave you around $135,000. I believe we're cooking with a bit of gassy when it comes to him. Um, him and Sherfane Rutherford do finish for the Big Bash after this double. So when you trade them in, you're basically trading them out again. So I'd only get one, not both. Now, Sherfane's half the price, but he's a pure bat that bats number 6. Not great. Lockie Ferguson, however, plays a game at the Gabba, plays a game at NG Stadium. NG Stadium, yeah, we're going with it. Why not? Uh, can't bowl 150 clicks. Yeah, I think I'll be bringing in Lockie Ferguson for sure. I was going to bring him in at Optus because of its pacey deck, and it wasn't pacey, and I backed out of it, thank goodness. But yeah, he was in great form. He just had a couple of quiet games. I doubt it stays that way, particularly with the patchy form of the Brisbane Heat's top order. And I believe his other opponent's Hobart, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they play Hobart yeah, they play Hobart. Yeah. So Hobart's also been a bit patchy. Like you've got guys like Mitch Owen who will go after the ball straight away. Um, Matt Wade's not in great form. Shai Hope's not in great form. Ben McDermott's really the main threat there in that top order. Um, Sam Billings probably bats too low for mine, but I understand why people would pick him because he is a keeper. He's averaging 60 this year, so obviously that's inflated by that 147, which makes up, off the top of my head, maybe 60% of his score, maybe more. Um, yeah, so I could understand why you'd pick him. Uh, Obviously, if you're trading Daniel Sams a week early, that's very brutal for you because it wasn't a poor game; it was just an injury that cost you. But he's done, so you can trade him. Where's Agar? Now, I'm surprised I made it through 23 minutes of this video without mentioning his name, but he created 2 or 3 chances. It was some poor catching and just some luck from the Scorchers that meant that he didn't get a wicket. Um, Now, my favourite stat of the year has been that Wes Agar has a great average at Showground. And I'm going to tell you the updated average now. Wes Agar averages 97 points per game at Showground throughout his career. For me, he's my vice captain. He'd be my vice captain going into this round. He'll be the Thunder player I choose to double should he have a good game. First up, yeah, he's a strong candidate for a vice captain in my opinion this week, as is Lockie Ferguson, as is David Warner. There's a couple of guys there, but yeah, Wes is probably the guy I'm looking at right now and saying, yeah, I think it'll be you that I vice captain. Um, Talked about David Warner. Chris Green, we talked about. Tanvi Sanger, he's still out for a little while with that injury. So Tom Andrews could get a bit of a go, who we mentioned. Cameron Bancroft, he's injured. Nathan McAndrew, definitely possible that he plays next game. I mean, I'm probably leaning more towards it being that Hugh Weedgan, who's the captain of the Australian under-19s. I think he's probably more the guy I'd go with, but I don't know what he bowls. So let's look up Hugh Weedgan. I don't know enough about him to give you right arm off spin, an all-rounder, good bat. So I'm not going to pick Weedgan just because I don't know enough about him. I haven't seen much of him. I don't know how he'll function in this lineup, and I'm not going to spend such little money on an unproven guy on a double, and he might still shoot the lights out. So there's that, right? I imagine he's the Sam's replacement. I think he impressed enough. Um, he broke the back of that final over chase. Well, he took a bit of the air out of it at 6 off Berendorf, final ball of the second last over. That really did lay the platform for, and what a pickup it was, by the way. But it laid the platform for Rutherford to do his thing and finish the game off. But no, should go back to my original point. Nathan McAndrew, I don't think plays. If Jason Sane is fit, he replaces Bancroft for me. Um, Obviously, you know, if Ollie Davies is fit to play, he's playing. They'll just rejig their lineup another way, probably at the expense of Matthew Gilks, who did well, but he's probably the odd man out there. Um, then after that, you've got Ollie Davies. Not interested in him. He's not in good form at all. Jerfade Rutherford, as I said, he's due he's probably going to have another big game this round, but at 6, that could be his only points this round. That one innings could be his only points. So a bit risky for me. And then we're getting to the real cheapy areas that we've spoken about already. So now that we've looked at the Thunder, let's look at the rest of the games. I just want to address the Thunder um, and get them out of the way and make sure we got to them and looked at that in a fair bit of depth. Now, I'm going to riddle off some stats here that I put together, not made up, but I collected some stats. So, um, and it's mainly to do with some Hobart Hurricanes, which is a bit odd, but considering they're not playing doubles, but just thought I'd. Well, actually, Wes Agar was one of the stats, and just wheeled it out a bit early, but there's a couple of Hurricane ones here. So Mitch Owen, obviously this is before tonight, but Mitch Owen, away from home, he averages 24 points a game, and then at home he averages 109.5 this season. So clearly at home he's a start, and away he's a sit for me. So if you have Mitch Owen next week, I think you bench him. You'd be tempted to sell him because the double's in round 8, and you could still lose a bit of coin. Made 100K already, but maybe you just hold him, and bench loop him in. That might be the way to go. Uh, Now Ben McDermott, he's a favourite here at SC Guns because we always pick when the right time is to bring him in, and we have so for the last 3 or 4 years. 3 years, maybe 4, depending on how tonight's game goes. But the consensus is that after the first 4 rounds, it's time to pick Ben McDermott. That's what we've learned. That's what we've studied, and that's what the stats reflect. In the first 4 rounds of BBL 11, 42 points per game, and then he went for the rest of the season. He went on to average 79.2. In BBL 12, first 4 rounds of the season, 11.3 points per game. Rest of the season, 34.1. That one kind of burnt us bringing him in. That one, he wasn't that good. He did improve, definitely improved, but yeah, he only had one big game in there. Everything else was pretty low. BBL 13, first 4 rounds, 12.5 points per game. And then the rest of the season, he averaged 58.5. Now, first 4 rounds of this season, BBL 14, he's averaged 45.5. Now, we're in round 5, so who knows what he's about to do. Uh, but we brought him in, both of us brought him in. I believe Pat captained him, whether or not that's still true. He captained him as of last night. So we'll see how that goes. He'll be chatty on social media tonight and the days to come if he did captain him. So you'll notice if he has. But yeah, Ben McDermott, definitely a worthwhile target. He has 10 break evens this round. And if he has a good night tonight, probably goes up to 150, 160. Still very easy to target. I don't really like the Thunder for Supercoach. So there's not many targets there for me. Just Chris Green, David Warner, and maybe Tom Andrews. So, and Lockie Ferguson. Oh, there's a few now, isn't there? When you put it like that, there's a few. Um, but yeah, I don't think it'll be Warner's locked in, and then it'll be one of Ferguson, Green, and Andrews. Uh, and that'll depend on a few things, to be honest. So let's look at the rest of the games in this preview of round six. Brisbane Heat, the Gabba. I mean, against the Thunder, I believe we've got good weather. Let's check this out though. Gabba weather. Okay. Here we go. Partly cloudy uh, on Monday, and on Monday we have a 20% chance of showers, but pretty in the evening. It looks like it'll be in the morning, if at all. Um, so that game should be on. Then we go to let's address this game. So Brisbane, obviously Michael Nisa is set to return to the lineup. Uh, I do think if he plays, um, that it will mix things up a little bit because I imagine he'll bat at 7 in place of Will Prestwidge, but better bowler than Prestwidge, isn't he? So he will bowl 4 overs. And then you got Tor Paul, who hasn't been great. Probably his role starts to really dry up with the ball, uh, mm, particularly when he's just bowling slow garbage outside off stump at a length where you can just hack at it. Uh, and people have been, and they've been doing it very successfully. So if you're looking to get ahead, Michael Nisa, not a bad option. He'll get the new ball, probably the first over, obviously. Him and Bartlett probably keep the new ball. Johnson moves to third seamer. So Johnson's role takes a slight hit. Probably he will still bowl Death Johnson along with Bartlett or Nisa. Maybe Torpal. But Spencer's still the death bowler, but their new ball bowler would be Nisa and Bartlett. Uh, in terms of other key points in this one, obviously Tom Benton's been dropped for Tom Alsop, or dropped probably the wrong word. He doesn't need to replace Tom Alsop anymore, who is a keeper bat. That's a new change in Supercoach. He will be keeping for the Heat. There will be no Jimmy Pearson in that lineup. So Tom Alsop, I don't know. I think he's a middle order, 3 to 6 kind of guy. So I imagine you'll get Colin Munro, and maybe Allsop does open. Maybe he does. Time will tell with that lineup. Now, Tuesday, Optus Stadium, we have the Scorchers and the Renegades. Now, obviously, we saw a pretty uh, slower deck than what we were expecting the other night. But who knows? That might change. Now, we do have a 20% chance of showers on Tuesday, but I think we'll be okay. Looks pretty good to me. And as such, I think you just assume that game's going ahead as per. In this one, Mitch Marsh is the key in. Um, will he play? Uh, where will he bat? How does this impact Connolly? Uh, these are all things that I'm very interested in looking at. Now, next one for me is the Thunder and the Hurricanes. Second game of the Thunder's double. So they play at NG Stadium. It's a Thunder home game. So ground weather. If I look at Wednesday, we are looking at rain deluxe. That game probably not going to happen. But that's something to consider, isn't it? If I'll read out the times. So between 5 and 6, you've got 50%. Then from 7 till 8, you've got 40%. Then we're back up to 50% at 9 o'clock. And the day as a whole has a 60% chance of showers. I would be prepared for there not to be a game on, to be honest. I'd be shocked. I'm not shocked. It's probably strong. I'd be surprised if this game's not rain affected, because that's That's usually a pretty good when you get that much rain a day. It's a pretty good indicator that it's not going to be the full 40 overs. Is how I'll word it. So um, I'm looking at this. I have 3 Hurricanes, which is not good. I have one Thunder right now. Uh, I'm not sure if I what's the right word? I'm not sure if I want that. If I want to um, you know, I guess freaking uh mm, I'm not sure if I want to trade in multiple Thunder players, you know, because if they're only playing one game or one and a half, is it that worth it? I tell you what, I'm going to go in with the attitude of maybe having three Thunder players total, maybe two, probably three though. Probably three Thunder players total. And let's hope that this weather watch improves because otherwise, uh, yeah, it's going to be a pretty low scoring round. Now, final game of the rounds at the MCG, Sixers Stars. So make sure I would be captaining someone from this game. So if we have a look at the weather there, um, obviously hot today, but Thursday, 29 degrees. Um, here we go. Any rain in the evening? Yeah, rain in the evening. 30% chance throughout that game currently. So, oh, there's a bit going on the weather front. Um, obviously, by the time you've listened to this, they'll probably get more information, or hopefully, you know, we will reach a consensus. But off the top of my head right now, I'd be targeting. I I would be doing trades gradually. Put it that way. I would be very cautious with how heavy you target the Thunder and what you do for the later games. So just keep an eye on that. We might only get two games this round, right? So just keep an eye on that. There's two games this round. People are going to be affected. We're not going to get full 11s. That's just the way it's going to be. It's going to be very hard to get a full 11 of Thunder and not too many Thunder either. Well, you probably, I don't know, Thunder, Stars, Scorchers, Renegades. It's going to be hard to make an 11 out of just those four teams, but you might be looking at that because, oh, and throw into account the strikers on the buy as well. So you can all have fun with that. I'd be abandoning any sort of concepts of loopholes. That's another thing. Not interested in that at all. Well, that should do us for today. So yeah, bad news for round six. A bit of rain knocking about. We're looking at a rough round. Um, yeah. So thanks for watching. I hope I haven't been too boring. And if you stayed through to the end, well then you found out that round six is going to be a bit of a disaster. So there you go. Enjoy that. Enjoy that dystopian end to what many will call a dystopian podcast with one person speaking for 40 minutes. But you know, maybe some people like me speaking for 40 minutes. That would be a revelation, absolute revelation. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we will be back at the end of next round, probably releasing something on Thursday. Uh, whether it's me, it'll be, won't be Pat, it'll be me at least with someone, maybe myself, maybe just another voice I create. Maybe it's me with the Iron Man helmet on, or my school baggy green. Who knows? Anyway, we'll catch you next time and enjoy what cricket you will get from this round.